So we're talking offline about OpenClaw, and I'm not trying to judge anybody or sound like an asshole, but sometimes I hear the decisions people make, and I'm like, do you think this through carefully about what you're giving access to your entire life? Like, oh, there's this entity, I have no idea where it comes from or what its intention or you know what its values are. I'm just going to give it access to my entire life, and people are like, yeah, it's just firing off messages and DMs and doing whatever it wants. And I'm like, do you think this is really a good idea? Like, there are some things that are not worth advancing. There are some things that are not worth the technological improvement.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we're not in control of that, and we're just going to watch the shit show and
Yeah,
hopefully navigate it as best as we possibly can. Hopefully.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, I think you're talking about in-person retreats. I think they already are starting to blow up, and already are starting to have a big market for it because, like, people really want connection, especially with how seemingly more seemingly fake the online space is getting. But yeah, man, I think that this is interesting because you talk about what you do for your line of work is sales, and you talk about trauma informed sales. And so I'm curious to ask, like, what does that mean to you, like trauma informed sales?
It means I understand how people actually make decisions, and how people think they make decisions and how people actually make decisions are two very different things. Because the subconscious processes up to 5 million bits of information per second, and the conscious mind processes up to 200, 200 bits of information per second. The way I like handle objections when people are like afraid, I'm like, of course you're afraid.
Hmm.
Of course. You can't feel comfortable and grow at the same time. So this thing that you're looking at doing, will it help you grow? I'm like, yes.
Hmm.
Cool. Well, just understand that you're wanting to find safety or wanting to find this comfort in this decision is not going to happen. So feeling ready is not a thing, it's a decision. You're not going to
Hmm.
feel ready ever to make a jump. It's going to be scary. So the way I talk about things is from a very trauma informed lens. I'm a transformational coach. I don't just do sales, I actually work for sales for a coaching company. It's the
Hmm.
first coaching company in the world that pioneered psychedelic integration coaching. So
Wow.
people do psychedelic experiences. A lot of people have done them. A lot of people have no support, no integration afterwards. The company I work for pioneered that space. I work as the sales manager for that company. I talk to all kinds of different people, from Navy
Yeah.
SEALs to professional fighters, ex UFC fighters, moms, dads, 23-year-olds that were addicted to heroin, all
Hmm.
kinds of different things. And how they ended up talking to me is they had some kind of experience. I went through the training back in 2023, changed my life. I've coached hundreds of people now through not only psychedelic preparation and integration, but also people. Most of my clients now have nothing to do with psychedelics. In fact, all of
Hmm.
them have nothing to do with psychedelics, because I realized that psychedelics are a tool for people to access their subconscious, because that's where all the pain lives.
Hmm.
So for your listeners and learners, same thing, hopefully. I've found working with people that most people approach mental health, and the entire Western world approaches mental health in the wrong way. That's why it
Hmm.
doesn't work. And the way that most people approach it is shoot the messenger. What is the
Hmm.
messenger? Anxiety, depression, addiction, feeling stuck, feeling like a lack of purpose. It's some version of, I'm not living the most authentic, meaningful life that I possibly could.
Hmm.
Some version of that. So, what do most people do with anxiety and depression? They want it to go away. What if it's a messenger from your soul trying to get you to wake up, but you keep shooting the messenger because nobody ever taught you how to decipher the language of the soul?
Hmm.
What psychedelics do is they tend to go behind the scenes, if done in a therapeutic setting with proper support, proper mindset, and proper setting. Set and
Hmm.
setting is a very common term used.
Yeah, you probably
Put
won't
into
get this
good
effect
faith.
if you just pop Molly at a party where you're hammered.
You can do that if you want. It's just it's a very different experience, because
Yeah, yeah.
what's the difference between a drug and a medicine? A drug is you're trying to escape. You're trying to
Hmm.
escape yourself. What is a
Hmm.
medicine is you're trying to heal yourself.
Hmm.
Could be the same substance.
Mm-hmm.
The substance could be exactly the same, but the intention is different. So I've done a lot of psychedelics, coached a lot of people, been in sales for 15 years, and I created something called soul-centered selling, which was a mix of all of that together. And I've found that what stops people actually going after what they want are the subconscious patterns that they keep repeating in
Mm-hmm.
their life. Everybody knows that. But when it comes to sales, it's very interesting. The objection that you give to others is the objection you'll get.
Mm-hmm.
If you're saying, well, I can't afford it, as you build your business, you'll get a bunch of people telling you that they can't afford what you do
Mm-hmm.
because you say that to other people. I found that there's like this cosmic law that life will present you with people, places, things, circumstances over and over and over again, the same things over and over and over again,
Mm-hmm.
almost like a spiritual video game, also almost like you bang into the bars of the prison of your own perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this force, you call it God, soul, universe, Allah, whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
that will keep bringing these things into your life to show you where you're not free,
Mm-hmm.
including sales, including building a business. You'll just keep banging into the same things. That's
Yeah.
where I help people. But I also help people learn how to sell in a way that doesn't feel like they're being a used car salesman and feels like it's the start of a friendship versus a cold one off transaction.
Yeah, that's a really good way of framing it. I think that businesses, I mean, the term greatest comes up to my mind, but I think it's one of the deepest spiritual experiences you can go through and one of the deepest invitations you can go through. Because if you said, hey, I'm going to be a monk and live in Tibet, and just like this whole society thing is just not for me, I'm going to exit. You can go to Tibet and completely ignore building meaningful romantic relationships. You can completely ignore making money. You can completely ignore the economy, taxes, inflation, all that. In business, you can't. I mean, you can try, but I don't know how successful you'll be. Those things will probably seem very relevant to you, and so it attack or not attacks, but it reflects a lot of your limiting beliefs around your worth because worth is a big driver and motivator in creating a romantic relationship, making money, servicing other people. And so, yes, there are different spiritual paths of like becoming a monk and hide, going off into the mountains and doing that sort of thing. And there's a time and a place for that. Certain people find it's very relevant to them. I'm not saying it's bad, but I find that business is such a deep spiritual journey that a lot of people don't realize before they get into it. And then when you're in it, you have to confront, you get a choice, right? Are you willing to face what you're going through and confront the secret drivers of your life? Or are you going to continue to run from them and have them catch up with you every couple months or weeks?
You can run and you can hide, but you'll always bump into it. So pick your heart. You can either choose the heart of going after something you want, or you can choose the heart of going after something that you don't actually want to do, is not authentic. And the top 5 regrets of the dying, one of my favorite books, number 1 regret is I wish I lived a life true to myself, not a life others expected of me. So if that's the number 1 regret of the dying, it was written by a palliative care nurse who was a nurse for like 20, 30 years, I think, something like that. If
Mm-hmm.
that's the number 1 regret of people that are dying, and if Carl Jung said the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are, privilege being privilege and lifetime being the things in that quote that stand out, because most people will
Mm-hmm.
never live an authentic life. Most people won't. Business will shine a fucking spotlight on all the things about you
Mm-hmm.
that you are not doing well. If you're not organized, it'll show up. If you undervalue yourself, you'll end up working all this money for very little pay. All these things, if your customers aren't buying anything, it's because what you do sucks or your
Mm-hmm.
messaging sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, well, how do you do this? And I found working with people, man, it's crazy that it's said perfectly in the Coach Carter movie. I've found it that people are actually more afraid of their light than they are of their darkness. And I've worked
Mm-hmm.
with people that were sexually abused as children, sexually abused as teenagers, physically abused, violence. I'm currently working with a 13-year-old. His dad died at 10. Like just horrific things. And I found after working with these people, people are more afraid of expansion than they are at looking into the darkness. That's why in that
Mm-hmm.
movie, Coach Carter, there's that quote. It's like, what's your deepest fear? It's like, our
Mm-hmm.
deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's not our darkness that scares us the most.
Mm-hmm.
It's our light. You playing small doesn't serve the world at all. When you activate your light, then you give other people permission to activate theirs.
Mm-hmm.
I've found it working with people. I've worked with people who, let's just say they've healed, whatever that means. They've caught up.
Mm-hmm. We've done the work.
They've done the work and they're like, well, now what? They've gone from looking in the rearview mirror to wanting to look in the windshield. But that responsibility is so
Mm-hmm.
much and so great because if you are made in the image of the creator,
Mm-hmm.
then your job is to create. And if
Mm-hmm.
you're not creating and you don't like parts about yourself, then you're actually disrespecting God because if you're made in its image, I say it because you may not believe it's a he or a she or whatever
Mm-hmm.
you believe in, every religion says the same thing, that you're made in its image.
Mm-hmm.
Rumi said 900, 800, 900 years ago, I'm not a drop in the ocean, I'm the entire ocean in a drop.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's all true, and we're just constantly focusing on what's wrong, constantly looking at the darkness, then you're actually disrespecting yourself and you're not creating and not living up to what you were
Mm-hmm.
designed to do. That scares the shit out of people. That's why most people get stuck healing. They see a
Mm-hmm.
therapist for 10 years. They do 100 ayahuasca retreats. It's like Terence McKenna said, it's like, if you get the message, hang up the phone.
Mm-hmm.
You're awesome. You're everything. You can do whatever you want. So what do you want to do?
Yeah. Okay. Run with it now.
Do
Yeah.
something.
I think one of the greatest limiting beliefs people buy into is I'm not a creative person. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? They're like, well, I'm not a great writer. I'm like, well, do you write? No. Do you want to write? No. Okay, well, that's not the only way to create. Like, I think if you're a construction worker, you're a creative person. You're literally
Every
creating something.
person's a creative person.
You are literally creating something. Like, if
Yeah,
you are a woman, you are by nature very, very capable of creating the most important things, I would argue, on this planet, which is another human being. Like, everybody has the ability to be a creative person. Just because you're not fucking Van Gogh or something doesn't mean you're not creative. Like,
huh.
it takes on its own meaning when you look at the things you genuinely find interesting. Like, when I was a kid, my brother always used to say, he was like, I don't like reading. And I'm like, well, you just haven't found something you don't like reading. Like, that's it. Or you just haven't found something you actually like reading. Sorry. You don't like reading because school's making you read Of Mice and Men, or it's making you read some piece of shit book you don't care about. If you could actually select what you're interested in, if you could actually select the things you want to learn about, you would enjoy reading. And I find that to be true for every single person. And whether it's, today social media is so prominent, and whether it's watching YouTube videos or listening to audiobooks, the principle of you like learning, you just haven't found the things you want to go deep on is extremely relevant. And I think that applies to creativity.
100%. I mean, we're constantly creating new cells every day. To say that you're not a creative person is just not true. You create all the time. You eat food and create poo, dude. You're
Yeah.
creating constantly. You are a creation machine.
You created the identity that you're not a creative person.
Yeah.
What do you
My
mean you're
favorite
not
thing is
creative?
when people sell me, they're like, yeah, like I want to be a coach, but I'm not very good at sales. And I'm just like, I'm not the most like passionate. I'm just not I'm not a salesperson. Like I'm not very good at talking to people. And I'm like, sold. Like what? I'm like, you just sold me on your identity that you are selling to me by creating value around that you are not somebody that can do something. I'm buying it.
Hmm.
Sold.
Yeah.
So like,
You made a great argument.
like, yeah, absolutely. Like, I believe you. You just
Hmm.
sold me on that. And when I say that to people, they have this like they have like this brain glitch. It's funny
Yeah.
because it's value. They're creating value around a perspective, and I'll buy it.
Yeah. Yeah. Or I mean, it's interesting too. You could ask them like, "Hey, do you have a romantic partner?" Yeah. Did you put a gun to their head? No. Okay. Well, you're clearly good at convincing somebody in some aspect. to do something you want, unless you don't want to be there, then that's a deeper problem. We could talk about that. But there's some level of desiring something and achieving an outcome
Yep.
that you can apply to this other thing.
If people
So,
have a thing, I think what they're really saying is, I don't want to manipulate people.
yeah, of course, of
I
course.
don't want to lie to people. It's just like, if that's what you think sales is, then yes, I agree. You're not a salesperson.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's,
Yeah.
go ahead. You go ahead.
Here you go. You go. We'll
No,
have a
I was
Canadian.
just gonna. Yeah, yeah, literally. It was the two Canadians who with non-Canadian backgrounds. With
I'm not even Canadian, dude. I'm fucking
I
Australian.
know. Yeah, you're Australian.
I'm born in Australia. I spent 21 years there. Where were you born?
And how many koalas did you pick up in your time?
Koalas weren't in Western Australia. I never saw a koala till I
You
was
never
like,
saw a koala. Oh, till
no,
you're.
till I was like, I think I saw a koala at a zoo when I was like 15, 16, but I'd never seen one because they're in the eastern states.
Oh, I
Same
didn't
with
know that.
crocodiles. I've never seen a crocodile in person.
Damn, that's
No,
crazy. Yeah,
no.
that was the first thing I did when I got to Australia. I was like, I'm gonna go see a koala tomorrow. Today I'm feeling fucked up because of jet lag, but tomorrow I'm going. I'm going to go see one. That's like the
They're
whole point of
weird.
it. Yeah, they're very odd looking. They look like stuffed animals, and they sound like machine guns when they're mating.
They sound
You know,
like
very
gangsters. They just sound weird.
yeah, yeah. It's a very odd animal where you're like, what is your purpose in the ecosystem? Nothing.
Just
What do
to
you?
sleep and eat.
Yeah, what do you do? Nothing. Well, do you eat nutritious food? No.
No,
Do you exercise at all? Absolutely not. Do
no.
you protect anybody? Nuh-uh. Like, what's keeping you
Anything eat
alive?
you? Does anything eat you? No.
What's keeping you alive? Human beings think we're cute. Okay. That's literally, if it wasn't for them, we would have just stayed asleep in the trees during forest fires and all been wiped out. So,
It's true.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
the videos of like the koalas. Like the trees are on fire and they're like, oh, what's going on here? People are like running in to save them. But no, I was born in Canada, but my family's lineage is not Canadian at all. So I usually get American when people ask me where I'm from because I don't have the Canadian accent. I'm like, yeah, because I'm not from Nova Scotia. So
You're not like, oh, fucking rates, eh?
yeah, oh sorry, bud. Like
Oh,
I'm not
sorry
from
about that.
Alberta. I'm not from Alberta or Nova Scotia. Those are the only places I've actually met people who have the Canadian accent. Now the Canadian accent is sounding Jamaican, which tells you a lot about how the country's changed over the years. But yeah, the Toronto accent, I don't have that either because I want people to think I'm intelligent. Uh,
Crazy those videos I see online, or it's like I just watch these kids. They're like, "What's the Toronto accent?" They're like, "It's going to be it's going." I'm like, "What the fuck are you saying, dude?" It's so crazy. It's so weird. And you
it's
know
it's
they're putting
bizarre.
it
The
on. They don't
first
actually talk like that. They don't. They're
no
like
no no no
acting.
no. If you're actually like Jamaican or something, okay, cool, because that's like where the slang comes from. People in
Yeah.
Jamaica actually talk like that. If you're not, you don't speak like your name's Tim. Like you don't talk like that. Shut up. Like when I first moved to Ontario, I was playing college basketball, and it was Oshawa, right? Like it's like a hockey town. It's like a like a white Canadian hockey town, and the guys there who play basketball, they were all like Toronto culture. So it's very interesting. Like every basketball team, even if they were in like very stereotypically Canadian towns, were into the like hip hop, Drake, basketball culture that you see that's very mainstream. So when I got there, I was sitting in the locker room, and this one guy came up to me. He's like, "Yo, what are you saying?" I'm like, "I didn't say anything." He's like, "No, like, what are you saying?" I'm like, I haven't said anything. Like, I'm not talking to anybody." He's like, "No, like, what are you saying?" I'm like, "Are you talking to me? Like, who the fuck are you? Like, are you talking to me right now?" He's like, "No, like, how are you?" I was like, oh, "I'm not. I'm not in Winnipeg anymore. Like, this isn't."
No. People from Winnipeg I've found are very friendly. They're very nice. Same with Saskatchewan. They're quite friendly, good, salt of the earth people that I've found, that I've met.
I mean, I won't take your time with this because we'll literally go off for 3 hours, and I'll just ruin my call structure for the rest of the day. I don't like Winnipeggers that much, and not because they're not nice, but because I think they're fake nice. Like I think that they're like they have the nice guy syndrome where like they'll tell you how nice you are, but if you start doing good things, like they'll be like, okay, cut it out now, because
Do
like
you
it's
ever
a
call them?
city.
Do you ever call them peggers?
Not consciously, but I'm sure in moments of anger, it might have come up once or twice.
Those damn peggers.
Yeah, like I always tell people that it's a city that has no incentive to get better
Isn't it
because
the murder capital of like Canada as in regards to capital cities?
one of them,
I never want to go
when,
there. I've never heard anything
yeah,
new, and I don't
you're
plan
not
on
missing
going.
much.
Yeah,
You're not
good.
missing much. It's Winnipeg, Thunder Bay, and Saskatoon. Those are the big three. That's like the Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman of murders in Canada. But like, I mean, think about it. The only reason people stay there is because it's cheap, and you know people who live there, and the people you know who live there because it's cheap. So all of a sudden, if it got better, like if they started improving the economy, that means prices would go up because there'd be a more incentive to live there. And if
Mhm.
prices went up, why wouldn't you just live in Calgary?
So maybe the murder continues to happen to keep prices down.
Probably. I mean, it's such a weird place. I've never been anywhere in the world like it. And you know, my wife is always like, I'm sure there's a place in like the UK that's kind of like has its own distinct. I'm like, nah, this it's just very because Winnipeg gets to -40 in the winters. I almost said the summers. It gets to -40. So there's like it's freezing cold. So there's no real booming industries that people want to be a part of, like business or tech I mean, there's a decent tech scene, but it's not like Toronto or Vancouver or anything like that. Um, but yeah, so it's just such a weird city because if it gets better, then it's going to get more expensive, and if it's more expensive, just go live in Calgary. Like it's the same weather, but at least you get Chinooks for like a week. So it's warm all of a sudden in January for like a week, and then it's not. But then it'll be warm again in 3 weeks, and there's actually a lot more people, and the industries are better. So it's just very it has no incentive to get better, none. So it'll always kind of be what it is.
Hmm. Well, I never plan on going there, so I take your word for it.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. But yeah, man, with what you were talking about with the sales thing, I thought it was interesting because so many people start with the external, like the skills, the offer, how good are you at doing the thing. What's kind of your way of not convincing people, but showing them the light as to why the inner is so important compared to starting with, I want to get good at this thing.
Principle one of soul centered selling. The first thing I teach is you can only meet somebody else as deep as you've met yourself. Okay. So, why do people buy things and why do people not buy things? It's because of emotions. If you don't know your own emotions and don't have relationships with anger, sadness, shame, then how could you ever recognize them in others? That is the short answer to the question. Because I've seen hundreds of salespeople. For example, I saw this one guy, I remember working with him. He sold a car to a mum. He sold a Kia Soul. Any person that knows what a Kia Soul is knows it's not a big vehicle. This woman saw pictures because I sold vehicles online, so they didn't see the vehicle until it got there. Anyway, this guy sold this woman a Kia Soul. She got the vehicle. The baby's thing, the baby carrier didn't fit in the back of the car. Of course not. It's a Kia Soul. So she kept on calling the guy, and he ended up blocking her number, calling her a bitch, and then she ended up calling the dealership, and then the general manager I worked for ended up hearing about it, and he was like, "What's going on?" He's like, this stupid bitch, like whatever, like we sold her the car. I don't know if you know this in Canada, but cars and houses are once you sign the contract, you don't. There's nothing you can actually do. Like you can't, yeah, it's legally binding. So once you get registration on a vehicle, it's legally binding. You can try and make a scene, but you sign the contract and you register the vehicle. So that had happened. However, this woman was just a very reasonable human being that just wanted a safe vehicle for her family and for her kids. And this guy ignored it. And the reason why he ignored it is it activated a feeling that he was avoiding within himself. So he blocked the number. My general manager took over it, sold, he got fired, sold her a better vehicle, made more money selling that vehicle, so made more profit by giving her actually what she wanted. So this guy basically lost his job. He would have made more profit on actually just confronting the woman and having a conversation, but because the emotion that he was a very unaware guy, he blamed everybody else. because he hadn't developed a relationship with that emotion within himself, when the outside world showed it to him, he didn't want anything to do with it. I've seen it hundreds and hundreds of times. Salespeople that somebody has a complaint, instead of confronting it and then, hey, let's go through this together, instead of putting people over profit, they put profit over people, and they don't get referrals. They have a bad name within their industry after a while. It's every industry. If you actually put people over profit, even if you lose that deal because of whatever, if you handle it in a way that has integrity, you will get referrals because most people don't handle it like that. Most people are so afraid of losing a deal that if you, my friend Victor, who was my old sales manager, great salesperson, he's like, if you're not willing to lose the deal, don't do the deal. Like, don't do it because it's not about the deal. Who gives a crap about the commission? Who gives a shit? What matters is that person happy? And if they're not happy, then that's the problem. So that's an example of he didn't have emotional awareness enough to realize that if he just had to face the situation and be like, hey, it sounds like you're frustrated. What can we do? Well, let me see what solutions I can come up with. And maybe there was no solution. Like, hey, sorry, there's nothing we can do about it. But he didn't even have the conversation, blocked it, not interested. I've seen that so many times, dude. Yeah, and then it's like I've seen the exact ad. I had a discovery call with one of their people. Yeah, I had a discovery call with the person. I know what you're talking about. I'm not going to mention names, but I know who you're talking about. That's the problem. Is that's what my solution is. If you are self-aware, you'll realize that most of the competition, because they're not authentic, because the number one regret of the dying is I wish I lived an authentic life, and most people are fucking not. If you get to know your own emotions, like Inside Out. Have you ever seen the movie Inside Out? The second movie where anxiety takes over and runs the ship. If you understand that all of your emotions actually love you and all of them are doing a job, even the emotion that makes somebody inject heroin into their arm, it loves them. It wants them to get away from pain. That's what its job is. It's trying to get somebody away from pain. And the way that it goes about it is like, you need to do heroin. The reason I know this is I've worked with people. I've worked with people that were methamphetamine addicts. When you work with these people and understand why they do what they do, and then you learn about your own emotions and why you do what you do, then you can recognize it in others. So, because you can only meet somebody else as deep as you've met yourself, that is principle one of soul centered selling. That is the background of everything. If you have emotional intelligence, when you're in a sales process with somebody, you'll be able to see real quick what the fear is. And instead of avoiding the fear, being like, hey, what is the fear? Well, I'm afraid I'm invested money like this before and it didn't work out. Okay. And you can have a conversation about it. I don't tell people not to be afraid. There is no growth without fear, and there is no courage without fear. And it takes courage to achieve what it is you want in life. So fear is actually a compass, not a stop sign. So I help people go towards their fear. Most salespeople don't do that because they haven't faced their own emotions and their own fears around things. So that's why most salespeople are not as successful as they'd like to be. I think that maybe if we write that book in 20, 30 years, it could be. Clawbot didn't exist when the book was written, but I mean, if we potentially rewrite it, it's a chance. Yeah, I wish I delegated everything to AI, including the raising of my children. The clawbots go on a date with each other and then they get married and then you. Yep. Yep. Yes. Yeah. It's most people walk through life listening to their fears disguised as practicalities. Oh, I'll do this when the debt pays off. I'll do this when my kid goes to high school. I'll do this when the kid leaves home. I'll do this when I move here. And they get to the end of their life and they realize that they'd lived in this mental scaffolding of fear that wasn't ever real. It was all just bullshit. It was all stories they made up. They made up conspiracy theories about themselves and about what they could or couldn't do and then believed them. Me too. I still do it in some areas. Like I still We all do it. When I talk about this is not coming from some place of enlightenment. It's coming from a place of, I fucking know because I experience it every single day, but then I also work with other people. And it always looks ridiculous in others. But then when you're getting coached, you're like, I'm not seeing, like, the elephant in the room is right here. You're just like, I just, I just don't really see it. And the person's like, it's right fucking there, dude. It's like, just look at it. You're like, no. Yeah, same. I was addicted to feeling unsafe most of my life because human beings go towards what is familiar, not what's good for them. What is familiar is chaos and not and instability. I would make a fuck ton of money and be like, cool, I feel some kind of stability. This is really uncomfortable for me. Let me go back to feeling afraid by spending $25,000 on a holiday. Cool. I'm back. My driving emotion, most men that I've worked with, driving's emotion is fear and inadequacy. So when fear is like a it's like jet fuel. It burns hot and it burns fast. However, it'll burn you the fuck out if you operate from fear all the time. But one of my coaches, great, he's a mentor of mine, Mark Correa, wonderful, beautiful man. He was like, you can be ambitious and productive without being afraid. I was like, what? What do you mean? Like, no, 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 you can't. That's not, no, that's scam. That's a scam. Because I lived most of my life like that. I would go up and down. And as Nickelback once said, something's got to go wrong because I'm feeling way too damn good. That's how I live my life. Something's got to go wrong because I'm feeling really good right now. I have all this love, all this money, all this connection. This is so unfamiliar because my nervous system is not used to this. And because while we are growing, you will have to resist going back to the familiar place that you are from. So while you're creating a new familiar, the old familiar will try to bring you back. Hey, there's this thing. You should spend money on it. Hey, there's this thing. Hey, there's people that struggle in relationships. Hey, look, there's a hot girl. Maybe my life would be better with this person. Maybe. Or maybe you'll keep repeating the same fucking pattern you keep repeating over and over and over again, which is why you're 37 years old and have never had a successful relationship. What's the common denominator here, buddy? What? It's here's one thing I can let your audience know that nothing is your fault and everything is everybody else's fault. And life happens to you, not for you. No. Nice. Yeah. 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 That's what they want. Yes. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. You said it beautifully. I found people also will create the very thing they don't want. For example, that guy, like the guy that says, I'm only going to date 21-year-olds, his consciousness has not graduated from adolescence. So there's four stages of consciousness as a human being. There's childhood. My teachers taught me this. I have two teachers that I still work with. They're great men, Jeff Darlin and Adam King. These guys, I've worked with them. They are great teachers. They are mentors. Haven't seen Adam in a while, but Adam taught me this. He said that there's four stages of consciousness. There's childhood, adolescence, adulthood, and elderhood. Most men get stuck in adolescence. That's why you got most dudes that people look up to. You got the Dan Bilzerian, you got Andrew Tate. I like some of the things that Andrew Tate says about the world and politics and consciousness and how people, but what I notice within him is that there's a stuckness around sexuality and there's this, oh, I want to date 20-year-olds. I'm 33. I'm 33. I meet 20-year-olds that are like at the gym or whatever. They're like the girls that check you into the front desk. There's no fucking way I'd want to date somebody with that level of consciousness. Obviously, there's exceptions. There's some people that have gone through things, but it's just like, I just don't have anything in common with you. Now, if you don't continue growing, you just end up being a 21-year-old in a 47-year-old's body. So your consciousness gets stuck at adolescence And I've found that the reason why somebody's consciousness gets stuck at a certain point, especially what you call trauma, is there was some kind of event or something that happened when they were in childhood. It freezes them there like a bubble in time. And until you feel the things you haven't felt, life will show you and remind you things based on that original thought or that original feeling or event you experienced, the feelings you felt. If you haven't processed it, that's where the saying comes, you're acting like a child, because you're literally reverting back to that place and behaving that way. And I've found that Peter Crone has the quote, life will present you with people and circumstances to show you where you're not free. It's just true. That guy, the guy you're talking about, you'll keep dating the same fucking girl. All my ex-girlfriends are crazy. It's like the only common thing that they have is you. Or the person that's afraid of being cheated on will constantly create dynamics in their relationship with romantic partners that are so unpleasant that the person wants to escape. They meet somebody that's kind of cool, the cheating happens. The person that, it doesn't matter what it is, it's all the same shit. People just create it. Yeah. Because he was describing himself. Projection. So do I. I think he's hilarious. Yeah, same. Hedonism. Just hedonism, go for it. Hedonism maxing. Hedon maxing. That's the thing about, here's the funny thing about people like that. And every single man that I've ever worked with that is highly financially successful, and I've worked with men that are like worth $100 million, worked with some really financially wealthy people. Every single one that I spoke to, every single one, there's no exception, terrible or non-existent relationship with their father. All of them. And I found that the reason why a lot of them are so trying to be financially successful is we live in a society that's like, well, that's how you be a man. And because they didn't have love and affection and connection, a lot of them from their fathers growing up, that they're trying to like win their father's love subconsciously or show how good of a man or show that they, like I worked with this man. He was like, dude, there's no worse feeling pulling up to your mansion in a G-Wagon, your $10 million mansion, and your wife just left with the kids. And you realize that nothing you have matters. And he had all the materialistic things. We got to the root of things. And this guy had played in the CFL. He played in the NFL. And ended up being quite high up in management in the NFL. I'm not going to say anything more than that because privacy. We got to the root of things. And he said, all I ever wanted to hear was my dad tell me that he loved me and he was proud of me, and I never heard it. It was his driving factor his entire life. It's why he sacrificed so much, because he just wanted to hear, I love you so much, son. I'm so proud of you. You're a good man. Never heard it. And that is the root of a lot of men's pain, is they're just trying to show the world how good of a man they are. And the man that they really wanted to hear it from didn't have the capacity or didn't know how because his father didn't know how. And it passes down from generation to generation. Yeah, it's very interesting. Yeah, that's awesome. Do it. Do it. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's like that. When people say, I'd die for my children, it's like, would you live for them? Would you keep your promises you make to yourself? Would you exercise every day? Would you budget and learn about investing? Would you go after your dreams for them? Or would you just, I'll take a bullet for them? It's like, cool. Anybody can do that. You're gone. You're gone. It's one done. Yep. But would you live for them? Would you go after your dreams? Would you be one of those parents that says you can do whatever you want, and your kids know that they can do whatever they want because they see you do whatever you want? Would you do that? And I'm not pretending to say that I'm this perfect fucking person. It's just if I have kids one day, and I don't know if I will, who knows? I don't know the future. I have no idea. But if I do, I would like to show from example versus just saying things. Yeah. 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 Well, what kind of people listen to this? And then I can answer the question. Incel chat. Cool. What would I say? What would I end with? One of my favorite quotes by Joseph Campbell, which is, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. The thing you want most in life is on the other side of the thing you're avoiding the most. The thing that you really want, which is some version of a meaning fulfilling human experience, is on the other side of the thing that you don't want to talk about, you don't want to think about, you don't want to face, the thing that gives you the heebie jeebies, the thing that makes your throat tight, that tightens up your chest. If you learn about how to face that and how to go towards that, that's what freedom is. Freedom isn't an outside in, it's an inside out thing. Freedom's a feeling. So if freedom's a feeling and you get to learn about how you feel and how that feels, then you can learn what feels like expansion and what feels like contraction. So learn about yourself. You can only meet somebody else as deep as you meet yourself. So learn how to meet yourself at the deepest level. That's what I would say. Yep. Farewell.